Unipod, the podcast for all things management software.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unipod, the podcast for all things management software. And today we are with Eldred Green, which will tell us all about his property management software in a bit. So, Eldred, thank you for coming today. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. So just please go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know how you got into the management software world.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about Dormote. So Dormote is our property management software. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Dormote Technologies. So a bit about myself. I'm based in the United Kingdom, London. I've been in the tech sector for over 15 years, studied IT management for business, started off as a web developer. It wasn't really my thing for a few years, and then quickly transitioned into project management, but then found Agile and Scrum. I completely fell in love with it. So I've been working various roles as a product owner, Scrum Master over the past 12 years, since 2013. And how I got into, so just basically working with a lot of companies, like in the banking sector. I worked with Deutsche Bank, worked with as a consultant for other companies like Wipro Digital. And working with teams, empowering teams to ensure that they build working software that will be pretty good and useful for its end users. Regarding Dormote and how I got into the property management space, it's my family, my parents back home. I'm originally Nigerian, and my mom still manages real estate, has a real estate portfolio in Nigeria. She has a shopping center in the south of Nigeria, around 26 stores, and we have a couple of properties that we rent out as well. And I wanted something to have better oversight and visibility of the things that were pretty much happening. I wasn't visiting Nigeria that often, and especially after COVID happened and things like that. So my mom is in her 80s, but she's very, very strong. She loves interacting with all her tenants, knowing what's going on. But
good for her.
Yeah, she's really, really strong. So I wanted to have something that could give us a bit of oversight on how our operations were going and help with, my sister is based in another part of Nigeria, Lagos. So to just have that oversight. And I couldn't find anything. In the UK, we have loads of software that we could use. And I just couldn't find anything that was especially localized for the African sector, because we have our own payment providers, payment processing platforms. We don't, like Nigeria, for example, PayPal is not something that is used. We have our own, so something that was pretty much localized. And then we also have our own needs in terms of electricity providing, provision and things like that. And I realized there was nothing there. I said to myself, all right, why don't you build one? And I started doing the research and everything into it, and I found out, oh, this is actually a business. So got a team together, and that was how Dormote was born. So we had been building it since end of 2023, and we launched in February. So
Amazing.
It was a very long journey, much harder than we.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so we launched in February.
Yeah, sounds exciting. Yeah, amazing. I love how sometimes the best products just come from solving a problem for yourself that you need. So you experienced a problem, or your mother, and decided to solve it. So that's a great way to start a business. And so how did you validate that the problem is that also exists among other people, and that there is really a business case here, and it's not only your specific problem that you want to solve?
Yeah, so in 2021, we decided to embark on a renovation of our family home in the south of Nigeria. So I wanted to expand it, make it a bit bigger. And everything was, so me being here, it was such a convoluted process, and it was just so difficult. So when I was in Nigeria, I had to go to Nigeria and spend like 6 weeks there in 2021. And I started speaking to other property managers while I was there. I was like, there has to be something there. I mean, things just have to work better, in terms of procurement, any kind of thing you want to do regarding hardware or any resources, finding, there's so much opportunities in terms of the the whole construction, real estate, property management space. And I was having conversations from there. I met a lot of property managers who were managing like 50, 100, 200 properties. And I was asking them, how are you managing all of this? And they were like, oh, it's spreadsheets. Now, me thinking that because my mom likes her old fashioned ways of doing her things, that it was just something that was localized to us. But then having conversations with everyone and seeing that they're still using spreadsheets. They're using like 3, 4 apps. WhatsApp for communication with residents. Relying on sending emails or WhatsApp messages of the company bank account information to clients, to tenants, to say, "Oh, our bank account information has changed. This is our new bank account information." Then I started going down that rabbit hole, and I started finding out a lot of instances of fraud. So you might have a real estate company, for example, who have property managers that are managing properties for them. And they'll just go tell the tenants, for example, a resident that, oh, the bank account information has changed. And it is their own, that now give them their own personal bank account information. And the person runs away with the money. I even wrote a blog post about it, talking about a situation that I was made aware of and I knew about someone that ran away with around $6,000 to $7,000 of funds.
Wow.
So I then started reaching out to other, because one thing with me is that when I get very passionate about something, I really, really go down that rabbit hole. I started reaching out and started reading a lot of blogs. I went on Reddit, started reading about blogs about property managers, tenants, and finding out from in Africa, other parts. I was thinking, okay, maybe other parts of Africa might be a bit better. Started finding out that, look, yes, some other parts of Africa had some good software, like South Africa, they had some software that was good. Egypt, for example, and there are also some that were coming up. Now, even in Nigeria and Western Africa, there were other software applications that were coming up, but they just had some issues regarding the way they were working. Either were buggy, or they just didn't achieve product market fit. I think that was the most important way of describing it. So I actually paused for a while to say, it seems like there's some tools out there that may work. Let me evaluate some of those ones. And I realized that it just didn't really achieve product market fit. So I said, you know what? Rather than wait, just try something, do something and see how it plans out.
Yeah, interesting. I guess it takes a lot of courage to start something that you don't really have exact competitors for, because you really open like a new market or a new vertical, a new segment for this kind of software. Obviously, there are additional property management software, but this was completely new for this region. So do you remember like a specific moment when you said, okay, like an aha moment that you said, okay, yeah, this is a real problem and I'm going to solve it?
Well, I'll say a specific aha moment. I would say it was more like a build up and a build up and a build up of just
Mm-hmm.
why can't we? What's going on here? Oops, sorry, there's an ice cream truck.
Okay, no worries.
uh,
We can, is it going to pass?
it
Can we
is
wait a
gonna pass.
minute?
Yeah, it comes
Okay.
always by 5 p.m.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Let's
okay,
let it
good.
pass.
So, in terms of a specific aha moment, I would say not necessarily. It was a build up of small moments, increments. Like, why is this like this? Why is this happening? Why can't we do this way? And I think that was pretty much when I really can't think of a particular moment, but I just knew after having conversations with people that this was something I was going to do. And one thing with me is I'm the kind of person that I always jump first sometimes, and then I always describe, and some people always describe me as the kind of person that I'll jump over a cliff and then find out that there are rocks at the bottom. I'm like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do? So I kind of went into the whole thing after doing some research, knowing that I was going to do it. I needed to build something. Now, if I was going to see it through to the end, that was another thing. It started off as a small project. I did not think it was going to turn into something that could start getting to the point where it's quite transformative until after like 8 months of 6 months of development, as we started demoing this to clients, to potential clients, not clients, but potential clients, just reaching out to people and say, look, we have this platform. would like to get your idea about it. And it wasn't ready, but they knew about it. And it was like, this is amazing. This is great. Oh my God, this is amazing. And that was a point where I said, all right, okay, I think maybe it was when we had started already building. I knew middle of last year that, all right, this could be something that is really, really big. And I now found somebody who shared that level of passion, who is my co-founder, Yomidi. And I knew that this could be transformative. I have the tech experience. I needed someone who had the property management experience. So I met Ayomide, and had a big experience, a lot of experience working for companies like Knight Frank. So he had real on the ground experience for a global company, and based in Nigeria. So I said, all right, let's. I really need you. I can handle all the tech aspects and the leadership aspect. I need you to be able to drive so that we can get to product market fit. So it was all those moments speaking to people that I knew, all right, and we still get those moments ourselves today. Like sometimes there was a client that that has just signed an SLE to use their platform, and just 15 minutes into the demo, or 10 minutes into the demo, he's like, how did you think about this? Like, this is something that is 100% needed. And that's the validation you need, and just say, we know what, definitely onto something.
I think that's awesome and inspiring in a sense that sometimes it's difficult to stay for a while in the research kind of stage and to really validate that there is a problem and pain point here. So, but when you do that, you get demos that then, 10, 15 minutes into the demos, the eyes of people just start to spark and they're really getting excited. So I think that's amazing and something, to take as a takeaway from this call, that once you do this difficult research and really invest in it and don't just jump off a cliff,
Yeah.
then
just to add to what you're saying, it's there. Even if we had loads of those aha moments, there were a lot of times when we actually felt, do you know what, maybe we should just stop. When you think about property management, you're like, oh, okay, you need to have the tenant portal, you have lease agreements, you have inspections, you have this one, and you have that. You think it's like you build this module on its own, and then that's fine. Then you build this module. No, every single thing is so interconnected. It's like, I tell people that this has to be one of the most complicated software that I've actually been a part of. I had no idea going into it how interconnected the parts are. Everything touches something else. So that was where we really, really needed to really ensure that we had the architecture in place. We started building the application on 2 occasions. We started rebuilding it again in February last year, and then we started again in August of rebuilding it. And that was when, like, I'm like, my co-founder was a very, very big part of when he came in to actually help say, all right, okay, we had laid out the architecture and like tell us this is how things work. Because we had the engineering expertise. That was not a problem, in terms of building the team and getting everything there. It was making sure that all those points were perfectly impacting the other one. Because I remember there was one tiny situation where we did not even think about, was like the fact that a property management company, a resident, may have rented multiple properties from one company. We didn't think about that, and it's something that's very, very, very popular in West Africa. So someone could, because buying of properties is very, very popular. Is something that's big. So you could live in a residential estate, for example, and say, sorry, it's coming back. Don't tell me he's driving into my street. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see where they are. Unbelievable, it's parked outside. Oh my God, it's just parked out there.
but I don't hear him anymore.
All right. Okay. So it was okay. Driving off now. All right. So it was one of those situations where we had to get. Well, what was last night? What did I say? I know you're going to edit
You
this.
you started saying about the complexity of
Yes,
the
yes,
property.
yes. So it's very, very popular. So I didn't even think about it. So even when I was like onboarding some of the clients in our family's shopping center, we had tenants who had rented like 3 shops, one tenant. So then on our tenant portal, we could only show one of their properties.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So we needed to do a complete rewrite of all those
Mm,
things, of how
wow.
that was going to work. So that's also another thing of being is very, very important if you're building an application like this that you have to work with your clients. You have to work with people in that sector. No matter how you envision it, you need to ensure that you're working with your clients and then trying to see how they use the product so that you can actually ensure that you achieve product market fit as soon as you can.
Yeah. I think that this point is relevant, especially I would say for property management software, because I speak to gym management software, sport management software, club management software, practice management software, and all those kind of businesses is something that we all interacted with a gym once in a while. I mean, I hope so.
Mhm.
And we all need to go to the doctor so we can kind of like imagine how the process is going. But uh, I always feel that property is the vertical that the unknown is greater than the known. So if you are building a property management software, I think it is even more important to really invest time in learning the market and their pain points and what exactly are all the regulations and the needs, because it's also very different between country to country, right? And
Yep.
even as you say, like areas in the continent. So um yeah, so maybe you can um no, I wanted to ask something, but I prefer to ask something else. Um, so in your opinion, what's the difference between good or average management software and the industry leading management software? It sounds like you have like investigated a lot about property management softwares out there, not in Nigeria specifically, but wherever it is. What do the leading management software companies have and invest in?
When we started, we were modeling, and we looked a lot we had one that was pretty much leading in Nigeria. They had around 20,000 units on their platform. When we started, around 19,000. And I think that was first time I actually kind of paused before we're like, all right, they seem to be pretty big. But then when I started, they were more focused on the tenants. For example, tenant satisfaction. We wanted to come from a different angle of of providing something that would be fantastic for the companies themselves that are managing these properties. Either it's for like an estate or for a residential estate. So estates are pretty big right now because in I'll say like 20 years ago there was a lot of crime that was going on. So there was this huge demand over the past 15 years for gated communities. So gated communities just grew in size. Like you have gated communities that are housing up to 1,000 families right now. And so there's massive security. They're very, very secure, fantastic places to raise your kids and all of that. So it was a situation where all those kind of things and having those conversations with all those real estate companies and finding out that, look, all right, these are use cases that are these are scenarios that are pretty much different from what you get in Western countries. So living in the UK, unless you're a billionaire or a multi-millionaire, you do not live in a gated community. Where I live, it's a block of flats, but we all pay and do everything differently. We don't have the same estate management company or anything like that. So it was those specific use cases that really, really needed that to ensure that we could satisfy the needs of the property management company. If we did that and provided some also regulatory, looking at the regulatory laws in those regions, and giving property managers also some guidance regarding that, we thought that it would be something that would be beneficial to the tenants. Because even in the UK here, a lot of the software that we have is pretty much geared towards the tenants. It's never really about the property management company. It's there, but we wanted something that was geared towards more the property management companies. Yeah, so that was pretty much. Now other platforms, it was in terms of as I mentioned, tenant satisfaction they are working on, or they'll look at one particular aspect or one particular vertical in property management and say, oh, we want to talk in terms of communication with tenants,
Okay.
in terms of tenant communication. Or so like tenants, for example, might want to, there might be a gated community that has like 300 properties. It might be an application to help with any issues that any of the tenants or the residents may have. If there are like any trade shows that's happening, any meetings, any issues with the streets, rubbish is piling up somewhere, the tenants can have a forum where they're talking to the property management company to resolve all those issues. Or it could be about visitor access control. So, like my brother also lives in a gated community in south of Nigeria, Port Harcourt, and he uses an app to if I tell him, oh, I'm coming to visit you, he will have to request and he will have to provide
Wow.
write my details in and then give me. This is pretty much really popular in Western Africa and other parts of Africa as well. It's something that
Yeah.
we
It's
don't have
just
here.
for me, it's very new.
Yeah. So all those things are those are the kind of things that you need to ensure that you can provide. But then our vision with Dormote was much bigger. We did not just want to manage only one aspect. We wanted to create an application that would satisfy all and create that would satisfy a broad aspect of property management. So in terms of communication, we have that. In terms of as a property manager, you want to schedule inspections for in your properties or your estate. You can schedule inspections. You can also inform tenants and residents that are living on that street. Oh, for your information, there's going to be something like maybe there's going to be digging, there's going to be
Mm,
cleaning that's going to be happening there or
notifications.
something, or even for a particular property, residents can request for services as well. So we were looking at, and they also make payments through the platform through means that will be beneficial to them. So that's integrating with local payment providers, so they can do things like bank transfers. They can make credit debit card payments as well. So we could do all those things. So it was quite broad. And then also what we were trying to also do is what we have done is create like an ecosystem. So create like a system where that's why we call it Dormote Core, the property management, and we can create other applications and plug it into Core, and it should just be like, well, I always use this analogy of making it work like Lego bricks, where we create other smaller applications that can actually just plug into the main application. So we're working on things like a document repository, for example, where companies can store all their documents, lease agreements, tenancy agreements, and they can also create documents as well. In terms of like they want to create KYC forms and all those things, that will have like AI agents that will be able to help them do all those things. So those are kind of things that we are looking at and saying, all right, how can we ensure that we cover a broad aspect of the market without sacrificing the quality that we know that we have already introduced with our product?
That's interesting. And I think that's a great point to highlight, because management software companies across all verticals are united around the idea that it's an all-in-one solution, and it's a holistic solution that solves all the kind of aspects that you need to manage your business. And as you say, like communication, and I guess also payments is there. And I think that's a really nice kind of business that really, takes everything and puts it together in one platform. And I'm curious to hear, like, so you launched pretty recently, and you had a launch also a while before. So how did you prioritize? All-in-one software is a big dream, and it's very ambitious. And but it's a big deal. So it's not like something that you can develop with ChatGPT and tomorrow it's ready. So how did you prioritize which features to start with or which integrations to start with, and what was important for you, and how did you approach like the roadmap question? Let's ask it.
Yeah. That's actually and that's pretty much one of the things that we try to get right from the get go, and then we also and that was some we had some missteps along the way, but the easiest way to answer it was there was a point where we got and we said, all right, what are we trying to solve? Property management. The first word, what is that? Property. So let's build everything around the property itself. So yes, you have the company, obviously, but everything has to be tied. Has to be tied to the property itself. So you add a property, then you add the tenants, then the lease agreements are tied to the property, payments are tied to the property. Anyone that is being assigned is assigned to that property. So it ensured that there was continuity regarding anything that needed to be done. If like a property manager was leaving, for example, and had been managing that property and then you as a company you assign a new property manager to that, they get the entire history. So everything we did was pretty much tied to the property. So that was the aspect that we needed to get right first. I think when for example, residents cannot be on the platform without being assigned to like you can. Why you can be part of a company's because what happens is when we onboard you, we create a hub, like pretty much like Slack. As Slack creates your own section for you or a hub for you. That's we have the same thing. We create your own hub, which is like your workspace where you can add your properties, your tenants, your employees, and your bank account information for payments and all of that. And when we do all of that, the first thing we do is make sure that the property is the first thing we add. We always tell you, we're doing the onboarding, add the property. When you add the property, then we can start adding every other thing that is assigned to that property. The visitor access control tied to the property. That is what we finally did, and we said, okay, we've gotten it right. We now know that this was the right approach, rather than making the employee section separate, rather than having like there are obviously certain things that are separate, like employees are on their standalone, messages is standalone, and things like that. But the core aspect was to make everything mostly, I would say 70% of the application centered around the property. And when we did that, that was when we said, okay, fine. We knew that we were definitely on the right track.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I always find it, challenging, and it's interesting to hear how you make the right calls. It's not always easy, and maybe you can share a story about a feature you decided eventually that shouldn't be on your roadmap, or you decided to dissolve it, change it. Do you have something in mind about it?
Oh, yes. So I have a lot. I'm the kind of person that I love writing product requirement documents. So when we're building something,
Oh,
oh yeah, this would be great. Oh, why don't we do facility management? Oh, why don't we? Yes, we want to do all those things in the long run. I'll say one and that a feature that how I look at it is we don't drop features, we deprioritize them.
okay,
I think,
nice.
yeah, every single feature it's a good feature. So if you want to go into full work order management, facility management, that's full work order management. It's great. If you want to go into selling of properties and the rest, that's great. The pop tech space is still needs a lot of products, especially in Africa. So I'll say the one that was the what we just recently decided that we needed to deprioritize was we wanted to create a home, so a homes section where people can actually real estate companies that were already subscribed to us, they can list their vacant properties for short stays. So we
Mm.
wanted to do something like that, and then we decided
Like for
to,
vacations or something like that.
yeah, for like an Airbnb version or something like that. We wanted to do something like that. We had gotten far in the development, but then when we launched in February, like when we were doing a lot of client demos prior to launching, it was something that everybody wanted because access to um, getting people to come and rent their property, they wanted to have more visibility and things like that. So an app that, or a website where people can actually view their properties, especially like Nigerians in diaspora or people abroad can actually view their properties. And if they're coming on vacation, because that it's something that they could use, was something that was highly requested. But then when we launched and then we started onboarding clients, everything we did was pretty much about ensuring that the onboarding process was smooth, that there were no bugs, and trying to ensure that. And we now found out that as they were using the application, we found out that there were 10, 20 other things that they required that was of higher importance. So what we decided to do was just deprioritize that and continue to build out the application, for example. So if we had like a
Yeah,
basic
wow.
calendar, and now we're pretty much, they wanted our calendar to be something, they wanted the calendar place to be somewhere that they'll go to and they can schedule inspection, service requests, do all the, find out where all the payments are going to. It's not like we already have a dashboard that does all of that. I'm like, no, we want to go to the calendar and see there. And it was a highlight. So that's what we have been building.
Amazing. I mean, I really like your approach, that you call it deprioritization and not that you just shut down a feature. I think it's helpful because when building a management software, you're obviously going to need to prioritize features. And I guess, I mean, I never found it a management software before, but I guess it can become quite frustrating when you do all this product documentation and put your heart in this specific feature and then realize that there's a problem. So, but I think, thinking about it as, okay, this is not like completely terrible, but we just need to get back to it in a quarter or in a year. I think that's a great takeaway that could really help our listeners here. So thanks for that. And you started saying something about subscribers. So a topic that I like to talk about here is pricing models, freemium models, and what's your thoughts about that in your software?
Oh, pricing. Before we launched, I think we changed our pricing like 6, 7 times. And we recently just adjusted our pricing. We're launching a new website over the weekend,
Oh,
because we are
congratulations.
attending the real estate federation, the World Real Estate Federation. It's called FIAPSI. Their 75th exhibition. It's next week Tuesday in Lagos, Nigeria. The World Real Estate. So it's a big deal. We're sponsors of the event. So now we're speaking. When we started, we changed from, we had a freemium model, canceled the freemium model, changed, we added we had a per unit pricing model, like every unit you add onto the platform. Then it was like, oh gosh, our Nigerian subscription services are not really that big. People don't really like, unless you're paying for like your entertainment like Netflix. So we dropped the subscription model. We have an onboarding system. We now tried a percentage of payments. So every time someone pays your rent or anything, every invoice, we take a percentage of it. That didn't go down quite well as well. So we've changed a lot. We've ended up going back to a subscription service right now. So what we have is pretty much, we have a pricing system between 75 cents to $1.50, I think, for per property on the platform, depending on the kind of the amount of services you want, because we also have AI analytics on the platform. So if you want that, the pricing goes a bit higher. But the basic tier, which is around, or the cheapest tier, is pretty much the most requested feature, because it has pretty much everything. So we are rolling all the AI features into it, because we're just realizing that that's what the market really, really wants. And then what we just have is some of the extra services that we're introducing, like our document repo. When we have that, we'll just have like a small percentage to transaction fees. That is all, as a way to offset the cost, and that is fine. So yeah, we have a subscription model. So we have a one-time onboarding fee, and then we have a subscription fee paid monthly. But all of our clients have paid yearly.
Mm.
that is pretty much what they prefer. As I mentioned, they don't really like subscription services that much. They want that one-time cost. And even rental properties, when you rent properties in Western Africa, for example, it is everyone pays their rent on a yearly basis. So you pay 1 year
Wow,
upfront. Yeah,
really?
real estate is pretty much more. But then if you go to Kenya, for example, so we're speaking to some real estate companies in Kenya, they don't pay, they hardly pay yearly. It is mostly monthly or quarterly that they pay. That's it. And even Nigerian government, and one of the states in Nigeria, Lagos State, the government is trying to introduce a law that they are saying that you cannot request for more than 3 months rent from tenants because property prices
Why?
have been flying through the roof. So to make it easier for tenants to pay, they're saying that you cannot request. So that has not yet gone into law. But then those are the kind of things that we also have to be looking out for to ensure that our system is compliant as well. We have regulatory compliance.
Oh, so the tenants want to pay monthly or prefer to pay monthly, but they can't.
It's paying yearly has been something that it's kind of ingrained in how payments are done in West Africa, for example. Payments for rent is always yearly, but now we're beginning to have people who want, because of rent prices are going up, people want to now start paying. There's a rising middle class, a middle upper class that are requesting for monthly payments. So we have apps like Rent Small Small. I think they've been rebranded to Small Small, which allow you to pay rent on a monthly basis. And I know that one of my friends, one of my very good friends, he pays his rent monthly. So the laws
And
are
do you
trying
have
to,
integrations with these payment
yes,
applications?
right from the get-go. For me, it was something that I knew that it giving choice, I think, is also very, very important when you're building any kind of software. So if you want a situation where you want to pay, yes, we know that in Western Africa, the default to be 1 year payment, but we have the option for monthly and we have the option for quarterly. So we had that
And
option built in from the get-go.
and all the payment options through your platform are with third-party payment providers
Yes.
integrations.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so we integrated to Paystack. We have Paystack, which is one of our biggest payment providers. We want to also add a second one as well, Flutterwave, as a backup or for hubs to pretty much pick which one that they prefer. So we're registered with both. I've done all the KYC and compliance for both of them. Our platform can take hundreds of thousands of in dollars in a single transaction. We have done all the anti-money laundering KYC, everything reviewed with the Nigerian government. So we will now give hubs the opportunity in the very near future to be able to pick which of the payment providers that they want, which they prefer.
Nice.
So whether they want Flutterwave or if they want Paystack, we'll be able to give them that option. But right now, Paystack is the one that's 100% integrated onto the platform.
Cool. So if they pay yearly and they use your platform for payments, I can imagine that, well, they also pay your subscription yearly. So I can imagine that the churn is low, but still, do you see churn? How do you deal with it? And yeah, what's your thought about that and your experience with that?
So the fact that they want to pay yearly is a great thing for us as a company, but it's also one of the biggest barriers in terms of companies joining of us onboarding property management companies.
Hmm,
So
interesting.
because they have to commit for such a long time. Now we are not asking them to commit for that long. We're saying, you know what, pay 1 month, pay your subscription fee, but they would rather have a longer term commitment to do for that. And the thing with the biggest problem issue that we face in terms of trying to convince real estate companies and property management firms, facility management firms to use our platform is trust. So you're committing, it's like you're renting a property, you're renting for 1 year. You have to be able to trust that what you're seeing is actually very, very good when you move into your property. All those fancy things that they showed you, you move in, next thing the wall starts peeling, the roof is leaking, and all of that. It's the same thing. Um, software development is something that is booming really, really fast, especially like the fintech space in Africa is massive now. We have a couple of unicorns now that have been produced. But then a lot of times in terms of software development, we can be lacking. So you go to a website, or we do this, we do that. They will make some great grand gestures of what they do, and then when you actually start using the application, you find out that out of those 10 things that they advertise, they only do like 2 of them. So that aspect of trying to convince real estate companies that look, and another thing is, some will tell us, "Oh, do you know what? We used a product previously." After we made this commit for 1 year, 3 months later, I started to break. Or from the very moment, there's one of the biggest real estate companies in Nigeria right now that we're actually, that is a global real estate company, but they are huge in terms of commercial properties in pretty much in Africa. And they committed to an application for 1 year, and they do not like the application. Hardly any updates. There's an update that breaks what was already previously working already. I may not even have fixed. So there's a lot of frustration. So it's, how do we convince them that we are different, that we have built a product that actually works? Now, if we tell, so what our approach right now, what we do is we tell them, all right, you know what? Pay for, because we don't have a freemium model. If you have 100 units, for example, you have pay for like 4 or 5 units. Test it application for 4-6 weeks on that on those units. See how it works. And
Test
then
it for free.
no. We don't have a freemium model. We have this. We made it from the get-go that we're not going to have a freemium model.
Yeah, I think, and
yeah.
I think it specifically makes sense in this vertical, since you do have like an onboarding investment, and it's not like something you can just start and play with, and
Yeah.
it's not gonna. It doesn't fit this kind of vertical. The property. I think that in general, you can say that this is something different between property management software and other management softwares, that you really need to build the trust, and you really need to have the commitment from the property managers to use the software and to use it properly, and to invest time into learning it and to implementing it in their business. So I think it makes sense. So not every software must have a free trial or a freemium model. Sometimes software companies need this trust and need this. I think it even builds a little bit more of reputation and relationship and investment and commitment. So not every software needs to have a free trial freemium model. So that's and it's good to hear that you can start your business and it can work without a free trial or a freemium model.
The thing is, one thing we've always said is we don't advertise anything that we don't have. So that's the thing. So, and we know that we have a great team. We have a great engineering team, and that has always been a thing that we stressed from the get-go. So in terms of building the product, is to make sure that the product just works. That is the most important thing. In terms of churn, yes, churn is always going to be a big thing. But churn is actually a bit lower, considering the fact that we have a few clients who have committed to a longer period. So they are more forgiving if there's any. Well, I won't say they are less forgiving. They then will make a lot of demands. Oh, this didn't work properly. I'm like, oh, you have to ensure that within it's part of, in like 1 hour of an issue reported, we definitely have someone that responds, and it's prioritized for us to fix. So the most important thing is for us to ensure that it works. Then to actually also reinforce that within the company, that the people that you're working with have the experience. So Ayomide has the property management experience. He knows how to speak your language. He knows what you need, regardless of where you are in Africa. He can actually communicate. He knows exactly what he needs. I know how to build software products and how to lead teams that have built successful products. So we have to reinforce this, and when they actually see the product, and that's one of the great things is we have a great UI, and a great UI and UX is absolutely very minimalistic, very easy to use. So when people see it, they're like, this just works. It just looks great. This is exactly what I need. Scheduling of anything you need, like inspection, service requests. You get an email notification. We're adding WhatsApp. Now that's another thing that's been requested. They want WhatsApp notifications in there. So all those things. And then also trying to drown out the noise of the industry, of what is happening as well around the tech space, like AI, for example. Everything is AI
Yeah,
related. So
that
it's
was
about,
actually going to be my next question.
oh yeah,
Like,
let me ask, okay, you go ahead.
no. I mean, yeah, I just wanted to ask you like about trends that you see in the market and how you approach it and implement it in your software. But I think you already had like a good point there. So
Yeah.
just go on.
Well, obviously AI. So over the past, when I started doing the research into AI was, yeah, people were talking about it, but we thought it was much, much further in the future. We didn't know how it was going to explode. So blockchain was the main thing. Everyone was looking at how blockchain was going to revolutionize the real estate sector. When we
Mhm.
started, we did our research and I was like, all right, okay, maybe we should start to use blockchain as well. We decided to drop it. And we said, all right, okay, fine, we're going to push the AI aspect as well. But then this is to the core of how we build products. It's, as we mentioned, as I said, drown out that noise and really, really ask ourselves, our target audience, what is it that they actually do need at the moment? So the number one thing is being able to just manage their software, have oversight and know what their financials are, everything, know what they need to have that. Okay, fine. If AI is coming in, how does that work? So we have AI on a platform where you can ask the AI things like, oh, what are the latest service request offerings and things like that. But we even found out that that is not actually something that is being used that much. Other areas are very, like the inspections that we just launched, like immediately we launched inspections, we found out that everyone was just scheduling inspections. It was something that was highly requested. So we're now having conversations with our existing clients and saying, all right, what are the things that we can do regarding AI? Because they all use AI. They all use ChatGPT. All of them have ChatGPT that they use for something. So it's like, how
Yeah.
do you, it's not about just adding things in, but
Yeah.
how do you add something that is going to have meaningful impact to your end users?
Value. Right. I
If not,
agree.
then you're just
You're just
creating something that,
throwing, yeah, you're
yeah,
just throwing in keywords and
yeah. So like
yeah,
I know
I
someone.
completely agree.
I was talking to a founder who wanted to start a company, who tried to start a company in the real estate, a property management software with blockchain. And when they got to the point of all the transaction costs, who pays for it? The property management company say if you're using like a blockchain like Ethereum, when everything that is going through, they say, oh yes, secure, everything is stored on the blockchain, immutable, and the rest. When everything is stored on the blockchain, there's a cost applied to it. Who incurs that cost? The property management company don't want to incur that cost because they're like, we don't know how many transactions will be happening. You're telling me that tomorrow the network could be clogged up and my one transaction might be like 60 cents. Tomorrow it'll be like 1 cent. The resident or the tenant doesn't want to incur those costs. And at the end of the day, the business failed. So it's about not just adding technology for technology's sake, but is making sure that it has a meaningful impact and it adds value. So we're also looking at ways that AI can actually help. AI will really, really help in terms of forecasting, for example. This is something like, all right, I have 60 residential properties. If I were to, the AI can actually say, if you were to increase your prices by say 5% or 6%, just go in for your single unit properties or your double unit properties. It could help. All those kind of AI analytics are something that could be very, very beneficial. And also in terms of drafting agreements as well. So being able to draft lease agreements, termination letters, and all those kind of things, that would be something that will be able to save them time So those are the kind of things that we're looking at and we're having conversations about. But it has to be something that we know 100% that once we implement, there's going to be is going to be something that they will find value in.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's tempting with trends to try to add them forcefully into your software and roadmap and company, but there is a natural growth to your company and business, and sometimes trends are just like noise in the
Noise.
background. So yeah, I think that's also an important takeaway. So thanks for that. Yeah, and as we oh my God, I don't know how the time flew so quickly, but we are getting towards wrapping up this great podcast. I wanted to ask you, what advice or what's the most important tip that you can give to management software founders, CEOs, leaders that are building their software right now? It can be specific for the property management software field, but it can also be very generic and wide. So yeah, do you
Yeah.
have something in mind?
Well, I think I'm going to give a different take on this. I think my take might be a
Okay.
bit different because I know, look, I've read when I started this journey, I started reading so many books from different founders, how I created this and created that. And I was trying to apply a lot of these things. But when I look at the journey, where we are right now, the journey is still a long road ahead because what we want to be is we want to be the number one prop tech platform in Africa, and where we look at where we are, what we have achieved. The most important thing is we just had faith in the fact that we were doing the right thing.
Mhm.
That was pretty much the most important thing because there were loads of times that we could have quit. We especially that first time when we were trying to gain the road towards our first customer was really, really hard. Everyone was like, it's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing. Or even during the testing period, like I had not launched, but just like showing people things. And every time something is breaking or there was an issue, if we did not have that faith and believe that what we were building was something that was needed, was very, very valuable, and we would have definitely quit a long time ago because we didn't have any investors. It was something that we bootstrapped ourselves. So it's like, do you know what? Just go back to your
Yeah.
cushy jobs, But it's something that we knew that this was something that was definitely 100% needed. And for me, I would say that was it. If I didn't have that grit, if I didn't have that faith, so yeah, just keep going at it. There are days that you will just wake up and everything you just open the application and everything just falls apart. You're supposed to be launching in 8 weeks time. You have clients that are saying, all right, the launch date is in, we're expected to start you will be onboarding in the next 8 weeks, and everything just seems to be falling apart. You have trade shows you need to attend. You're like, how do we do this demo? There are things that you I remember there was a demo I did last year. And in fact, maybe I need to go contact this client again because I was too embarrassed to ever go back to reach out to that
Oh
client. But immediately we just said, hello, how are you? All right, I shared my screen and I clicked launch application. It crashed.
no.
It
Wow.
simply crashed. And it was just because the devs were doing a deployment and I had not told the developers that were having it launching a demo. And I was not even using the live websites. I decided to use so many things can happen. And then even as I mentioned that we had to rebuild the application in August, it just wasn't scalable. What we were building just wasn't scalable. So we had to I just stopped and I just said, you know what? Everybody can you just take it. Let's take the day off. Let's just relax, breathe, take the day off. Let's reconvene the next morning. So this was like 10 o'clock in the morning. I just told everybody, let's take the day off. We just did so. I said, you know what, everybody, go do what you need to do today. Let's come back 9 a.m. in the morning.
Wow. Yeah, that's an inspiring story.
Yeah, and that's another thing I
Yeah.
also believe in is like I think that my leadership style is one of empowerment. I do not believe in command and control. I've worked in organizations where it's like, oh, you have to do this way. You have to. No, I believe that all of us are professionals. We all want to do the right thing. We all want to build software that matters. A lot of times is that you just need to create that environment where they can actually thrive, and then they also believe in the product as well. So pretty much that was what we did. The next day I said, you know what, let's look at the architecture of what we're doing. Let's look at all the pieces and let's go from there. We did that.
Wow.
We had a brainstorming session the whole day. We came up with an idea of what we needed to do. We needed some additional resources because we were presenting. This was our beginning of October last year. Yeah, beginning of October, because we were demoing our product at the Africa Startup Festival the following month. So we needed to be able to demo the product. So we said, this is what we need. And then we started going from there. And that was the last time we ever had any major issue. It was just to stop, reflect. At that point in time, Sharon, I can guarantee you, if I did not have faith in the product, we would have basically just said, you know what, we're calling it quits. Just go somewhere for holiday and just not, just go and think about
And
my
enjoy
life.
your life.
Enjoy my life. But that was it. And then from there, we were supposed to have launched in January, but we delayed the launch to February, and we're still building the product. I always tell people that the product is never ever going to stop being built. But right now, it works. It sells its client base. We're very, very happy, and we're very pleased with the feedback that we are getting. But we don't want to rest on our laurels. We want to continue to build more, innovate, and lead.
Wow. What a great note to end with, faith and leadership. I think that's a great point for us to stop. So really, really thank you, Eldred. It was an amazing conversation. So thank you for coming to this episode of Unipod. And to all our listeners, I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.